The NASCAR Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by the SGPN merch store. Use promo code SGPNBA to get 10% off of everything in the SGPN store.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you asked me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
And who does not love talking racing things on a weekday, just days before Dega, baby? It is the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. As always, he's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. We're back on Superspeedway racing. We've condensed the tracks enough for these guys. We're going to give them some spacious asphalt to work with, hot tempers, so many different things to go wrong. But Cody, it's Superspeedway racing, and as I recall, it's one of your favorite ones to bet on.
I'm still riding the high from yesterday's Cup Series show, Rod. Oh, man, go back and listen to that. It was a fun one. I said it yesterday, but Superspeedway racing is my favorite type. It is so much fun to watch. It's nonstop excitement. You don't know until they cross the very end of the line. Like, you don't know who's going to win. Sometimes you don't even know who's won as they cross the line. It's hard to tell. Everything is action-packed throughout the day. We talked about it yesterday. The betting side of things is action-packed as well, so that makes it entertaining. You go in with the attitude of you're going to lose it all, and but you get to throw out these long shots, these fun darts. We talked about it yesterday, but hit Corey LaJoie 22-1 as top Chevrolet. We didn't even have to hit the winner, any of that other stuff at Atlanta. Worked out nicely, hit a big bet for the weekend, makes everything look better, makes everything happy. It's Superspeedway racing. I get pumped up every week for every race because I'm a junkie, but but I love Superspeedway racing even more than the other styles.
Well, this is, of course, the Xfinity episode where the Xfinity drivers will take the track for the Ag Pro 300 on the Talladega Superspeedway. Once again, no Cup drivers in this race, so thankfully they get to kind of play amongst themselves again for a second week in a row, which, by the way, last week I was very excited for because I do seem to enjoy it. But I know we talk about it's nice for them to be able to race with the Cup guys to get experience racing alongside the more experienced Cup drivers. But I don't know. I'm a purist guy. Like it's fun to watch the big leaguers come down and play single A ball, right, and play wiffle ball against a bunch of these single A pitchers. But, by and large, it's not necessarily as fun if they do it every single week. It's like watching a 7-foot tall basketball player play a fourth grade peewee team every week. It just doesn't feel right. So, and I know that they're not fourth grade peewee teams, but I had to find some analogy, and that's what came to mind.
It works. But yes, there is 42 entries for 38 spots, so 4 drivers will be going home. Like you said, it's a dash for cash race, so no Cup drivers are allowed to race. Which, for Superspeedway racing too, it gives these guys a chance to shine. Again, anybody or almost anybody in the field can win at this type of track, so you love to see it. Some of the notable people on the entry list: Jade Buford is going to be in the 5, which is a second Big Machine racing car. They, of course, have the 48 with Parker Kligerman. Derek Kraus back in the number 10 car for Colleague. We've talked about it, that 10 car with multiple different drivers. Has finished top 10 every single race so far this season. We'll see if that continues to go. Ryan Truex, much to Sam Mayer's disappointment, is back in the 19 car. And Jesse Iwuji back in the 34 car. I love the fact that Jesse Iwuji is a serving member of the Navy. I was in the Navy. That's a great story. That's a lot of fun. Probably shouldn't be in the Xfinity Series, but that's okay. He's going to attempt the race anyways.
It's funny to think that an active duty member is actually in a car. Because I mean,
I think he's actually a reservist.
I think he's a reservist. I think you're right. Yeah,
yeah.
This is not the weekend of the month that he's serving.
Right. Which conveniently, there is some weeks where he has quote unquote military obligations and is unable to qualify. So they usually put somebody like Kyle Weatherman in there that can actually make the race. And then Iwuji shows up to race and run on the back. But I don't want to dog on Iwuji all day. He just maybe could use some more practice at a lower level somewhere.
Listen, all I'm saying is that we both have been there, right? I mean, is he? I think he's an officer, isn't he? Iwuji, isn't he?
He is an officer. I think he's might be a lieutenant, maybe. I don't know
so come on. We all know that officers are like, no, why don't we go ahead and let the NCOs take care of this?
Yeah, that's two enlisted guys. Maybe that's why we don't like him as much too. Who knows?
Yeah, I'll show up, take all the credit for it. Let's let my senior chief do all of the stuff, right? Let's let my
everybody knows the enlisted guys do all the work and the officers just, take all the credit. That's how it works. If you're in the military, you know that too.
That's absolutely the case. So, listen, and when you look at super speedway racing, especially in the Xfinity Series, over the last few seasons in Talladega, it's obviously a lot of those names are gone, right? The Gragsons are gone, the Gibbses are gone, the Allmendingers are gone. We talked about that even at the beginning of this season, and I mean, there's like Landon Castle is not in this as well either, right? I'm not seeing his name. Nope. He's not in this either. He was in the last few races. So we're minus a lot of the names that were kind of prevalent in the top 10, even in the last few races here. And it's going to be an interesting way to shake up this field. Obviously we still have a lot of these young guys that are going to be racing in their first or second, or, they don't have a lot of Talladega experience. So, I mean,
we're going to get to one bet where there's guys that don't have like hardly any experience at all that are in this race. So that's always a fun and unexpected way to kind of bet on or against someone, is when they don't really have any experience.
Yeah. And believe me, we're going to see plenty of that, like you said. But we do need to take a break. And when we come back, we'll continue to set up the race, the Ag Pro 300 from the Talladega Superspeedway. But let's tell you first about Underdog Fantasy, because we're brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. The NBA and NHL playoffs are here. What better way to get down on some player prop parlays than over at Underdog Fantasy? I know they got some Sacramento Kings stuff going on. Woo, light the beam, baby. I think that's what they say. I haven't been a basketball fan in a while. I know I live close to Sacramento, but I've seen that many, many, many times. So you can get down on anything you want over there at Underdog Fantasy to help light that beam. Besides the daily NHL, NBA, and MLB games, they've also already got NFL best ball drafts with a guaranteed $500,000 in prizes. It's a lot of beams to light with that money. Head over to UnderdogFantasy.com and use the promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN. For as many years as I've lived in the Northern California area, I was never able to get in on any sort of Sacramento Kings basketball. So the fact that they're doing well for the first time, I think, since they moved to Sacramento, I know it's got this whole area abuzz, and I'm not part of that.
I didn't realize the Kings were still in the NBA. So no, just kidding. I know the Kings are in the NBA. They just have not been good in a long time. And so you'll see that when teams aren't good for a long time, they pop back up. It is always good to see a newcomer to the show, right? Where a team has sucked or struggled for so long, and then they finally pop up and they're somewhat decent. And they're up 2-0 on the Warriors, which is today's super team. So
yeah, I mean it's NorCal versus the Bay Area. I think that's basically everything that the California is all about. It's all about Northern California versus Southern California versus the Bay. So the fact that we're beating the Bay, go NorCal.
There you go.
All right. Again, this is the Ag Pro 300 from the Talladega Superspeedway. The Xfinity drivers will take 113 laps around this 2.660 mile paved track for 300.580 laps. They do this twice a year. In the fall, AJ Allmendinger won the race here over Sam Mayer. The margin of victory in that one was 0.15. But in the 2022 Ag Pro 300, there were 10 cautions for 39 laps. The average, or the margin of victory rather, between Noah Gragson and Jeffrey Earnhardt was 0.131 second. There was 25 lead changes in the entire race, was 6,611 green flag lap passes. That's 77.8 per green flag. That's a lot of passes. Pole speed on this one, 182.56. Average speed of the race, 123.024. Time of the race, a brief and quick, just kidding, 2 hours, 40 minutes, 52 seconds. Cody, this is a race that we are going to see a lot of jockeying for position. We're going to see a lot of different leaders, like we said, and really the highest person that led laps in the Ag Pro last year was Austin Hill with 67. Next highest was Justin Allgaier at 13. But I'm telling you right now, man, we're in for a crazy, crazy race this week.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Again, if you're newer to super speedway racing, this is the race where anybody can win, anybody can finish good, anybody can wreck out, anybody can finish badly. You can go from first to 30th in 2 seconds. You can go from 30th to first in 60 seconds. It takes a little longer to go forward than backward, but things move quickly. Things change quickly. We've talked about it in the past. Xfinity seems to be the series of the three that ends up more chalky more than the other ones. And we talked about this slightly on the Cup Series show yesterday, but you look at the odds, and I mean, when we get to the Cup Series, it's generally like the favorite is always like plus 1,000, 1,100. Like you very, very rarely would see somebody above that early in the week. And the Xfinity Series, generally the same thing. And if you look at second place on the list, John Nemechek plus 1,100, that's normal. Austin Hill plus 380 at the top. That is insane for a super speedway. You just saw I said he led 60-some laps here last year, but he didn't win. And he's won the two we've had so far this season, right? Daytona, Atlanta. If he wins this, nobody's going to be shocked. In my opinion, it is. And last week, we hit John Nemechek. It was a plus 350, I think, to win. Multiple units, like it was a big play. Loved it, hammered it. Great. In my opinion, betting somebody to win on a super speedway at plus 380 is a horrible bet. Now, he might come out and win, and I will not be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he led every lap on a super speedway. He's that good at it. But so many bad things can happen. It's not worth the risk for the little bit of reward. And then, of course, the normal super speedway pitch, right? We've already had this discussion multiple times this week, but always gamble responsibly, be a grown-up, and manage your units appropriately. But on a super speedway, take that to the next level. You have to go into this race expecting to lose every single bet, expecting for utter chaos, 20 cars to get piled up, and all your bets out in one wreck, just like that. So treat it that way. If something happens to cash, be happy. The fun part about that, you can throw darts out there. We're going to have a lot of plus money plays. Go back to the Cup Series if you really want some plus money plays, because there was a lot there, mostly on my side. Sorry about that, but not really, because, again, you hit one or two and you have a great day. Just manage your units appropriately. Go lighter on stuff. You should every week treat it as if you're going to lose it all, because it is gambling and it's a risky. We go back and listen to the review show. With the recap show, we covered what gambling is, but even more so on the super speedways, just take it with extra caution. But again, from my opinion as a fan, you can enjoy this race more because you place the bets, you totally forget about them, you throw the slips in the trash, have a couple beers, whatever you want to do, sit back, enjoy the race. If you need to pull one of those slips out of the trash and cash it, great. If not, you expected to lose it anyways.
But Cody, if you do your research, you won't lose any money. Sorry. I wanted to be a troll for a half a second. I wanted to see how it felt to just try to throw shade all over the place. I feel
you did a good job. You learned from the best.
No, I need to take a shower after that. Yeah. And look, for real, this is the race that you do need to just watch it, enjoy it, and bet on things you want to cheer for.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too, is like if there's a guy you just like to watch, Corey LaJoie for me, right? I bet him every time. Well, I think he can win also, but it doesn't matter. Like anybody out there, in the Cup Series, you're just a big Zane Smith guy. We talked about it. Like, you can bet on Zane Smith. He can win that race. He's a long shot, yes, for a reason, because he's going to maybe have to work for it or maybe need a little more chaos. But we've seen it so many times lately. We talked about it in the Cup Series yesterday. Austin Cindric won the Daytona 500, 75-1. McDowell won it. He was like 100-1. And then we had some races last year. Chase Elliott won at Talladega. He was like 10-1. But you go back and Ross Dane, I don't know what he was in the spring, but I promise you he wasn't 10-1. Like, he was a longer shot to win that. In the Xfinity Series, we've had some good examples lately. Jeremy Clements won, was it Daytona last year?
Yeah.
And he was like 150-1. I mean, other people can win these races. And so that's what makes it fun, is you can just throw stuff out there. Guys you like to watch, guys you wouldn't bet on a normal week. Going to be a bunch of guys in here we're talking about that you don't normally hear us talk about, which is another way to make it fun. It gives you an opportunity. Sometimes it does get to the point where you're kind of playing the same guys each week because those are the good bets. And we're going to have, don't worry, Riley Herbst is still in the show like he is every week, but there's going to be plenty of other names in there discussed as well. So, yeah, man, I'm excited. I love betting on super speedways, Rod. It is so much fun.
I know you do. Well, then, let's not even waste any more time. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to throw out all of our bets for you for this Ag Pro 300 from Talladega. But let's talk to you about the SGPN merch store, because we want you to support the SGPN merch store, because we want you to walk around town with all of your finest SGPN and more specifically NASCAR Gambling Podcast swag, because that's the way you show your support for us. You can even walk around your office with one of these fantastic SGPN mugs, maybe the NASCAR gambling mug on the back there, the F1 gambling mug that Cody's got. We've seen hats. We've seen our sweatshirts. We've probably got stuff that you could put your grandma in the nursing home, and they can ask her, hey, what is that? And she can say, oh, yeah, I got this from the SGPN merch store. You guys should probably get some too, right? And then we're nursing home sensations. What else do they got to do but listen to us on this show? If you would like more, go to the merch store. In honor of the NBA playoffs, from now until the end of April, you can get 10% off of anything in the SGPN merch store when you use the promo code SGPNNBA. So head over to store.sportsgamblingpodcast.com, buy something for your grandma, use the promo code SGPNNBA, and get 10% off of everything up to and including, I'm sure, a walker, right, Cody?
I just came up with a new shirt idea. Grandmas Love Us, the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
Ooh, we need to put that in the Slack. Don't even waste any time. Do that now.
I'm going to go send Jake a message.
Grandmas love us. Oh my God.
That's I would definitely need that shirt for sure.
I want that shirt. I will buy it for my grandma. She probably would wear it too. Oh God, I love it.
That's great. Oh boy, we have too much fun on this show, Rod. Too much fun.
We need to stop. I think the listeners don't like when we have this much fun. We need to be serious and just give out picks.
Yeah, well, I think that's just one guy, but everybody else seems to like it. So shout out to all of you. All right, are you ready for some bets, Rod? I mean, I don't want to waste any time today. I'm excited. I'm so pumped up for betting this race. I love it. Of course, I got to start with my guy, Riley Herbst. He had some mentions in the Cup Series show as well. Make sure you go back and listen. He is going to be racing in the Cup Series this weekend as well. I am going to take Riley Herbst for a top 5 finish in the Xfinity Series, plus 225. Man, again, no top 10 odds, to no surprise, from the books over here, of course, but some decent top 5s this week. I mean, really, Austin Hill at minus 200 is the only minus odds bet you can make at Caesars Sportsbook. So everybody else starting at John Hunter Nemechek, second place there is plus 140, and it's all plus money down the board. So I've got multiple top 5s today. I'm just going to kind of throw some top 5 darts. Maybe 1 or 2 of them land top 5. Maybe they don't. If not, don't worry. I already counted these bets as losses anyways. So Riley Herbst, he finished 6th at Daytona already this season, 5th at Atlanta. That's 2 races in 5th and 6th. That's a pretty good start for him being at plus 225. You go back to last season, he finished 11th here at Talladega, 11th and 4th at Daytona, 9th and 4th at Atlanta. And then this season also, he finished 10th already in the Daytona 500 in his only Cup Series start so far. So he is a super speedway guy. Doesn't have that win just yet, Rod, but it's coming soon, right? And I mean, already this season, like, and honestly, last season we kind of dogged on Herbst a lot. We said he didn't really deserve to be in this ride. We thought the only reason he kept it is because the monster thing. When they announced he would be back, we were kind of shocked. We thought maybe Haley Deegan would get that ride or somebody did. Like, it just didn't make sense. And maybe there's a reason we're not talent scouts in NASCAR, Rod, because he's having a hell of a season. He's had a great season so far. He has been on a run, I think, almost every race, other than, of course, last week when he was for sure cashing our top 5 at plus 400, and he looked one of the best cars and then ended up getting wrecked late. But he has looked very good all season. I think he's going to continue that into this weekend. He's going to be in both races. He's been very solid on super speedways. So I'm going to keep on the Riley Herbst train. Plus 225 sounds good enough for me for him at a top 5.
Cody, there's many reasons why we are not talent scouts in NASCAR. I will tell you that right now.
Yeah, I think so. But
yeah, I think so too.
Hey, Ty Gibbs is going to be good. All right. I can see that coming.
Well, I mean, that's probably not that hard. This next one is going to have you probably figure out exactly why I'm not a talent scout in NASCAR. And I'm going to give you this is my praying for chaos top 5 pick, and that is Anthony Alfredo. He's 5-1 for a top 5 finish in this race. But I will say to you, as bad as Anthony Alfredo has been this season, let me read off his finishes for you this year. 24th at Daytona, 17th at Fontana, 19th at Vegas, 14th at Phoenix, 14th at Atlanta, 16th Austin, 38th Richmond, 24th Martinsville. Nowhere in there does it sound like Anthony Alfredo is a top 5 driver. But allow me to read you his finishes from the Talladega Superspeedway. In 2020, he finished in 6th. In 2020, in the fall, he finished 12th. In 2022, in the spring, he finished 6th. In 2022, in the fall, he finished 16th. I will tell you that in those races in which he finished 6th, Justin Haley was in a ride in the 2020 early version, Ross Chastain, Austin Cindric, all 3 of those guys, the top race. And then, of course, the very next time that he did finish in 6th place as well, the following drivers were there: Austin Cindric, AJ Allmendinger, and Noah Gragson. So I'm going to tell you right now that I truly believe, I'm sorry, that was the wrong one. We're talking 2022. Rod, click the right buttons in this one.
You're giving out false information again, Rod. Jeez.
I give out tons of false information.
This is why we can't have nice things.
I wasn't wrong because it was Noah Gragson and AJ Allmendinger and Landon Castle. Those were the 3 that were above him. So Anthony Alfredo has proven that he can actually stick around and do okay things on a super speedway. Now, he's not going to be in that 23 car that he was in before. He's going to be in the 78 car. But again, I still think that he can find a way to keep himself in and around where he needs to be in order to get a top 5 finish at Talladega. And like you said, anybody can do anything at any point. And at 5-1 for a guy who's hung around the top 5, 2 out of the 4 races that he's been in on this track, I like that.
Yeah, and that's the biggest key, right? Is you just got to fight. In Alfredo, I mean, at this point, he's got quite a few starts under his belt. He spent some time in the Cup Series. He had a full season, I believe, right, in the 38 car, a full season under his belt there. He spent time in Xfinity. He spent time everywhere, and he's gotten plenty of rides. And really, you read off his finishes this year, nothing that crazy good, but there's been a few races where the result hasn't necessarily been there, but Alfredo has looked good, especially for the type of equipment he's been in. He's not in very good equipment, which to a track like Talladega equalizes that. And this will be a great opportunity for him at these odds. Again, it's one I like. Again, just pick some random guys to sprinkle top 5s on. They don't have to win the race for you then. Now, some guys like Herbst, you might be on for a top 5 and to win. You can double dip. That would be great. But then it's not coming down to the end where they have to win. You can cash a nice plus money bet for just finishing inside the top 5, which sometimes all you have to do is survive, and you can be up there at the end and in position for that.
I'll add on to that, Cody, because if you go back and listen to the Cup Series episode, the owner of the 78, BJ McLeod, we're having a little bit of fun with some McLeod bets this weekend.
Yes, we did. Spoiler alert, if you have not listened to the Cup Series show, what are you doing? Go back and listen to that. But yes, we did find a way to bet on BJ McLeod, which is always fun. So make sure you definitely check that out. Next up for me, a guy, this is my Corey LaJoy of the Xfinity Series. Every time we go to the Xfinity Series on a super speedway, I have to get in on Ryan Sieg, and he has made me so much money on super speedways. This guy knows what he's doing. He is so good at them. I'm going to take him at a top 5 over on Caesars at plus 500. Great odds. You're getting the same odds as Alfredo, which, I mean, no offense to Alfredo, but Sieg is in better equipment and, in my opinion, a better driver. And I'm going to take him as the Group B winner, also at plus 500. The Group B is Parker Kligerman. Pains my heart deeply. I don't have a single bet on Parker Kligerman this week. I am hoping that means that Parker Kligerman wins this race. Maybe I'm the problem. I don't know. I'm trying to do everything I can to help you, Parker. If you win this race, I'll be extremely happy for you. I'll be sad I didn't bet on you this time, but we got to figure something out, buddy. So this is a way to hedge on. Maybe he continues to have problems like he's had, gets caught up in a wreck. Derek Kraus is in this group, which Derek Kraus only has, 2 starts in the Xfinity Series. That's all he's made in this car. And he doesn't have a ton of super speedway experience, so he doesn't concern me too much. Jeb Burton is in there. He's kind of a wild card. He's got times where he's really good. I believe he's won here at Talladega before, actually. But he's not always consistent. And again, that's anybody on a super speedway, of course. But Brett Moffitt, this is kind of a hedge off of him because I'll be talking about him later. And Jeremy Clements, who we did mention, won a Daytona race. That was last season. But his results can be up and down too. The main point of this is Clements is the only one at longer odds, or he's the same odds as Sieg at plus 500, which to me just makes no sense at all. I don't understand why they are the two that are the longer shots. It makes no sense to me. And so again, my view on these groups is try to find the ones that have some longer money guys and guys that you trust can do well. And Sieg is a guy I love. I'm taking him for a top 5 either way. So not only the top 5, but then you get him to win the group. But if you go back and look, he's finished so far in 2 races this season, 8th at Daytona, 11th at Atlanta. Both great finishes. Likely could win him the group for this. And they're not that far off from the top 5. Again, if you're there at the end, you can be in the top 5. You just got to survive, be there at the end. Go back to 2022, 8th at Daytona, 4th at Talladega, which would put him inside the top 5 here at this track last season. And actually, he finished 4th in both races at Talladega last season. So, again, that's, a pretty decent sample size there. 10th and 15th at Atlanta. Go back to 2021. He had a 5th place finish at Talladega and an 11th place finish at Talladega. So 3 of the last 4 races at Talladega, he's finished inside the top 5 already. You're still getting him at 5-1. Go back to 2020. Oh, I was so sad this day, Rod. I think I had him at like 75-1. Finishes in 2nd place. Still would have cashed that top 5, though. So luckily we have that on him here. So, and this is Ryan Sieg, to be clear. Not his brother Kyle Sieg is also in the race. And Kyle is a fine racer as well. But these bets are specifically on Ryan. Both on Caesars, top 5 plus 500. And the Group B winner at plus 500 as well.
I love that. Again, it's a long shot. I mean, if I'm giving you Alfredo, might as well throw out a Sieg as well for that. All right, well, here's my weekly Hemrick bet. I mean, Hemrick feels like Harvick to me anymore, where I feel like he's such a consistent driver that you got to put something on it. I know that you have had your doubts about Hemrick, and he's had a kind of up and down season so far. But I have him as a top 3. I like his odds for a top 3.
As much as I don't like Daniel Hemrick, he is good on super speedways. So no argument from me this time.
Yeah. Well, and I'll make sure that I don't get an argument from you. Damn it. I love it. But I
will shut you down.
At plus 425 is what I've got him as. And Daniel Hemrick this season alone, right? Second in Atlanta. He had a rough go of it in Daytona, where he finished 36th, but he did start 6th, which is, a very good starting position for Daniel Hemrick. He had a 7th place at Martinsville, 6th place in Austin, 10th in Phoenix, 10th in Vegas, 12th in Fontana. None of those are top 3 finishes, but here at Talladega, he had an 8th place finish in the fall of 2022. And again, we've talked about all the drivers that will be missing from the field in these races, right? The Gragsons, the Allmendingers, the Gibbs, all these guys are gone now. So that frees up spaces for Hemrick to move up. He did finish 4th in the fall of 2021, and he finished 5th in the fall of 2020 proper. He did start on the pole in the spring race of 2018. Unfortunately, he got a 23rd place finish that day, but he was a fast car to start on the pole. That was, of course, in the 21 car. But since he's joined the 11th, the 11 car, 34th place finish, but he started 5th, and was damaged vehicle policed out of that one. And then, like I said, finished 8th in the fall. Apparently he likes the fall race better than the spring. But again, he hasn't been running as well in the seasons as he has this season. And he's actually been a guy that has proven to be in the front of the pack quite a bit. And, these College cars are good on super speedways. AJ Allmendinger proved that last year. He was a road course guy, but he was killing it in those College cars on super speedways in the Xfinity Series. So I think that they're going to be showing out pretty good this week. And I think, like I said, a plus 425, Daniel Hemrick for a top 3 is a solid bet.
Colleague has dominated the Xfinity Series over the years in super speedway racing. I think Justin Haley had 3 or 4 super speedway wins in a row. I mean, he's basically on the run Austin Hill is on now, of course. But yeah, it's a different cast of characters over there now, but they've been good in the past. You'd expect them to still be decent. I'm not going to say I'm going to necessarily back Hemrick, but he's been proving to be solid. I mean, he's been outperforming his 12th place average these last few weeks. So you got to give him props there. You mentioned that we can take drivers this week from our heart, Rod. That's where I'm going with this next one. I just love seeing an Earnhardt out there. Jeffrey Earnhardt, top 5 finish, plus 700. I love to root for an Earnhardt. I love that we still have one out there. And, he's not Dale. He's not Dale Jr. I get it. But he's still an Earnhardt. And he's not too bad on super speedways. Like anybody, it's up and down result. But at plus 700, this one is worth a shot for me. 20th at Daytona, 34th at Atlanta. He got caught up in it early there. Go back to last season. 15th at Daytona. That's an okay ride. That means you're in the pack at the end, right? And that's all you're looking for. A 15th place finish to me signals you can finish in the top 5 because you're not that far out of it. Your line moves correctly. The proper car is in front of you wreck, and you are right there. You're not that far away. Guess where he finished in this race last season, Rod? 2nd place. He was in a Richard Childress Racing car. It was the number 3. It was that whole deal. We had him at big odds to win that race. I just have the curse of 2nd place at Talladega, I think. But that's okay. That's all right. 2nd place will cash you the top 5. That's why I got so many top 5s this week. See? Thinking over here. But no, 2nd place here. Again, he's in a different car now, but it's still an equalizer at this track. 13th at Atlanta, another solid run. 37th at Dega in the fall, again, got caught up in it. Go back to 2020, had a 14th place here. 2019 of 15th at Daytona. All the way back in 2015, he had a 12th place run at Talladega as well. So he's proven that he can get it done. He finished in the top 5 last season. And I want to root for somebody with the name Earnhardt out there. So what better place to do it than Talladega, where his grandpa, Dale Sr., has, 10 wins, 9 wins, something ridiculous at this track. And his uncle, Dale Jr., has an additional 6 wins. So the Earnhardt's another way around this Talladega thing. He's got it in his blood. It's a fun one to root for, and there's some stats to back it up. Plus 750, Jeffrey Earnhardt for a top 5 over on Caesars.
I love it. And it's amazing to me that it is 7-1, given that he has had the success that he's had here at points. So,
and another point in his favor, too, is these past seasons, it's been like parting and piecing together races, like hasn't run full seasons. This year, he's actually got a full-time ride. Like he's been making all of the races, and there is something to that with the chemistry and and just being more comfortable in the car every week than, I'm racing in this one, I'm racing in that one, kind of hit and miss. He's actually got a full-time deal. So it's not the most elite equipment, but it's good enough that he can get this result in it.
I love it. All right. I am going to, you said you don't have a bet for Kligerman in this. I have a bet against him, and that is Jeb Burton over Parker Kligerman, and that is at minus 105. I know minus money bets on super speedways are not necessarily all that sexy, but we have spoke at length at Kligerman's just inability to sort of close. I mean, it's not as if his finishes have been bad, although he did start second in Daytona, finished 23rd to start the year out. And then, he had a 10th place finish at Fontana, 11th place at Vegas, 15th at Phoenix, 4th in Atlanta, 31st at Austin, 8th at Richmond, 17th at Martinsville. But to me, this 14.9 average finish for Kligerman does not necessarily tell the entire story of his season. He's made big enough moves that he's gotten bit by, and it just feels as if, these are just bad luck things to happen to him. You look at what he's done at Talladega in the past. He's only raced 3 times here as an Xfinity racer. He's got 2 6th place finishes, right? And that's actually not bad. 2013 was the first, and then last fall he finished in 6th place here as well. But when you look over at Jeb Burton on Talladega has won, finished 3rd, finished 7th, finished 15th, finished 17th as well. The fact that he's actually won on this track makes me feel a lot better about his chances. Daytona, rather, he's got 3 4th place finishes on that track. Jeb Burton has not done much to speak of in this season either, but he did finish 11th at Daytona, and then he finished 16th in Atlanta. Went on to a 12th place finish at Richmond, a 14th place finish at Vegas. So he's got a 16.5 average finish. It's only a couple of spots between Jeb Burton's average finish and Parker Kligerman. Now, if you're going to tell me that between the two, Jeb Burton is outperforming his expected finishing position, whereas Parker Kligerman is underperforming on where he is. So again, I like Jeb Burton's comfortability on this track. I know that Kligerman has 2 6th place finishes in the last 2 times that he stepped foot on this track, but once was 10 years ago and the other was in the fall. And this season, Kligerman has not necessarily been able to put it all together. So like I said, I like Jeb Burton minus 105 over Kligerman.
Yeah, and Kligerman just has had so many issues out of his control too, like problems with his cars. It's been the same thing in the trucks. Like and we've seen where bad luck just follows these guys sometimes. And no matter what they do, they just can't get past it. And he is going to be ballsy. He's going to make moves. We saw it at Daytona, right? How many times did he jump out of line at Daytona, try to get something going, and just fall backwards? Nobody would go with him. Like, he's going to be aggressive and make those moves, which can pay off, but they can also hurt him as well. Again, I hate going against Kligerman, but maybe this is what he needs to turn his luck around. So we'll do that emotional hedge. I'll back you on there. To continue the Parker segment of the show, going from Parker Kligerman over to the matchup of Parkermans, you got Parker Retzlaff versus Parker Chase. 2 guys I'm not sure we've mentioned before on this podcast. May not talk about again. Who knows? We'll see. But they are matched up together, and I'm actually going to take Parker Retzlaff over Parker Chase at minus 120. You look back at Retzlaff so far, a 4th place run for him at Daytona. That right there just shows me, okay, this kid can do it, right? He's done it. He's proved that he can do it and get a good solid finish. 27th at Atlanta, he got caught up in it. You go back to 2022, and his 1 Truck Series start in his career is at Talladega, and he finished 16th there, which not great, but not a bad finish. He finished the race, was still running at the end. Again, in the head-to-head, a lot of times that's all you need. You need the guy that survives the wrecks, right? And again, we talked about inexperience. 17 Xfinity Series starts in his career, 1 Truck Series start, which was at Talladega. That's it. That's all Parker Retzlaff has, but I'm backing him. They've shown this guy a few times. He is like the nerdiest looking kid. He's from like Wisconsin or something, but and I think he got his start in iRacing, but he is a very, very good driver. I've been super impressed with what I've seen so far. I'm going to back that. You go over to Parker Chase. He did finish 16th in Daytona. That's his only start this season. And he's only got 3 career Xfinity Series starts. He's only got 2 career Truck Series starts, and both of those on road courses, which leads me to think maybe he's more of a road course guy, whereas Retzloff, his 1 Truck Series start, they put him in at Talladega. So they obviously thought that he could do better there. And so even though the experience isn't much in his favor, it is slightly in Retzloff's favor. He's got some experience, and just eye test wise, I have noticed Retzloff more times than I can think of, where it's been like, okay, look, he's having a solid run for whatever car he's in, for wherever he's running, and he's definitely caught my eye. Parker Chase, there's not been much to take from it because he's only got a few starts, but again, 16th in his 1 super speedway start is an okay finish, but Retzloff has at least a few other starts in the Xfinity Series, so I'm going to take the Retzloff side of this at -120. Rod is currently changing his next bet as I look down and see him editing the document. Oh, wow. I was going to actually comment before we get into this, your bet here. I was going to comment how you would again notice I have no JRM cars on my side of things. And my next comment was going to be, and Rod also is not betting on any JRM cars, but I can no longer say that, Rod.
Well, I was going to bet against a JRM car because I was like, it's JRM. We've talked ourselves into a circle over this, but I just went over my notes again and I said, I'm taking the wrong side of this bet. See, this is what happens when you when you just go over your work again, right? I mean, I researched this and I formed my argument, and I did this whole thing because I like writing argumentative essays. It's my favorite thing in the world, which is why you guys get so frustrated that I always give you all the stuff that contradicts my thing, because I'm used to arguing both sides of an argument to give you all the evidence that you need. So for my next bet, I was going to take Cole Custer over Justin Allgaier because I thought to myself, I was like, look, we have seen Cole Custer sort of go on a little bit of a momentum spree, right? Over the last couple of races, he finished 5th at Richmond. He started on the pole in Martinsville and ended up 3rd, and he looked fast the entire time, right? But then I sort of looked back again at the rest of his season. It's 32nd in Austin, 12th in Atlanta, 12th at Phoenix, 12th in Vegas, 27th at Fontana, and 9th at Daytona. And I thought, I can't necessarily see myself backing this. Then I was going to say to you that Cole Custer had a 9th place finish in 2018 in Talladega. So I felt like that might have been enough with the momentum, knowing that he could probably get up there again. But he finished 32nd and 26th in the other 2 Xfinity races that he's run here. Justin Allgaier, on the other hand, has 5 top 10 finishes, 4 top 5 finishes in 8 starts. We say to you, this is like JRM is eating their own, but somehow, some way, Justin Allgaier has been able to sort of sift through the madness outside of 2 crashes that left him finishing 36th and 29th in Phoenix and Atlanta. He's got a 3rd place at Daytona, 3rd place at Fontana, 2nd in Vegas, 5th in Austin, 6th in Martinsville. That's all really good finishes for this guy. You look at what he's done at Talladega in his Xfinity career. In 15 total starts, he's got 7 top 10 finishes, 4 top 5s. Now, last season was not good for him. 22nd in the spring race, he had a fuel pressure issue. 15th in the fall after starting in 4th, but at least he was running at the end of that race. I'm saying right now that I think we have reached a point where maybe Justin Allgaier on this track can turn it around. It's Junior Motorsports. Nobody knows their way around here like Earnhardt. Well, he's driving Earnhardt equipment, so I'm going to go ahead and back Justin Allgaier over Cole Custer at -110. I just don't think Cole Custer can get it done here. I know he's on a momentum ride, but I just don't know that he can get it done here.
Yeah, I had looked at this one and I looked at both sides and I really weighed them and I could not make a decision. They're both have inconsistencies. Custer, I've never really thought of as a super speedway guy. I don't really remember him ever having super great runs in the Cup Series. I didn't look at that deeply at it, but man, as long as Justin Allgaier can avoid the other 3 JRM cars, he could probably win this race. It's just stay out of the way of your teammates because they're going to be out looking to wreck you. Sam Mayer goes to try and wreck Truex, pulls a Carson Hocevar, wrecks himself, takes his teammate out. Who knows? It's just, man. And like you said, his results haven't even been that bad, but it's just the JRM thing. I don't know. I loved you. I picked Earnhardt for my last pick because I love Earnhardt. I don't know. I'm gonna stay neutral on this one because I can't. And Custer, I'm mad at him because I expected a lot more from him this season, and he's made me look bad in that case. So, pick your poison with Rod there. See which side of his argument you like, and follow.
Or you can
that
just
way.
fade me like everybody else does, and that's fine.
Yeah,
Because
how do they know which one to fade? You pick both sides.
That's true. Oh, I did, didn't I? Well, listen, and I think I said this in the recap show. Look, if you're fading me, and if you're picking against what I'm picking and making money, isn't that helping as well? I mean, aren't I giving you good enough fuel to bet against? And if that's making you money, keep listening and bet against me. Then you'll make more money.
By the way, Rod's hit more winners than I have this season, so keep that in mind as you have your biases. But anyways, next up on the card for me, I'm going to go to Brett Moffitt. I like him over Derek Kraus at -110. Now, Derek Kraus, I know I said the 10 car has finished in the top 10 every race this season, but maybe that will change this week. He's only got 2 career Xfinity Series starts to his name, the last 2 races, actually. And he did finish top 10 in both of those, but no super speedway starts. He was 18th in the Truck Series race over at Daytona. That's okay, but nothing super impressive. You go back to last season in the trucks, 26th at Daytona, 13th at Talladega. Again, okay finishes, but that's also the Truck Series. You're taking a step up. 2021, 33rd at Daytona, 20th at Talladega. So some okay finishes sprinkled in here, but nothing that really jumps off the page to you. For the Moffitt side of things, he's been very impressive this season. I've been personally very impressed with how he's done, and he is a very experienced guy. Keep in mind, he's the 2015 NASCAR Cup Series Rookie of the Year. He's the 2018 Truck Series champion. This guy's been around. He's got plenty of starts under his belt. Again, I mean, you look at this. He's got 91 Truck Series starts, 80 Xfinity Series starts, 45 Cup Series starts to his name, and Kraus has started 2 Xfinity Series races. So Moffitt brings all that experience. You go back through his finishes, 29th at Daytona, again, caught up in it. That's going to have some people, but came back 6th place at Atlanta. Last season, another rough day in Daytona, but 14th at Atlanta, 10th at Talladega in this race. Back to 2021, had a 2nd place finish at Daytona, 17th at Dega, 11th at Daytona again, a 26th at Talladega. So again, there's some fluctuation. You're going to get that on super speedways. 2020 made 1 start at Talladega, 5th place. 2019, 13th place at Talladega. 2019, again, in the trucks, he finished 4th place here at Talladega. 2020, he finished 7th place here at Talladega. He hasn't started every race, so there's not necessarily, you can't go back and look at every super speedway every season, but in these races that he did run, he's had quite a few very solid results. Some 4th place finish, a 7th place finish, a 5th place finish in the series. There's been solid enough results there, and way more decent finishes than bad finishes. So I'm going to take that veteran experience of Brett Moffitt, who's having a pretty good season. His first full-time season, I think, since 2018, maybe in the trucks. Like, it's been a while since we've seen Moffitt running full-time. And Kraus is just filling in. I mean, Kraus lost his Truck Series ride after last season, and he was out of a ride. Nobody wanted to give him a ride. His own spotter was on Door Bumper Clear as one of the hosts and was saying how he just ran into things all the time, like dogging on him all the time, which doesn't give you much confidence if you're that driver. I thought that was kind of surprising, but he loses his ride, has no ride, and now he's obviously brought some sponsorship money or something to the table, and he's got in this College car for a few rides because this was supposed to be Landon Castle's ride. So, and then the money fell through, and of course the money will get you in the ride. So he's had some decent results in his 2 starts, but I don't trust him as much going into a super speedway as I do with Brett Moffitt. So give me the 2015 Cup Series Rookie of the Year, Brett Moffitt.
Which is sad because that 10 car has been in victory lane on this track with Jeb Burton, and it's actually had some fantastic results over the last. Jeb Burton finished 7th here in 2021 in the 10. Landon Castle finished in the top 5 in 2022 in the spring, and then again, and he finished top 3. So this 10 car has done well on this track, especially as of late. But you're right. I mean, it's a lot has to do with the driver of it. And when you don't have the most exclusive of drivers sometimes, because Landon Castle and Jeb Burton, we talked about Jeb Burton a second ago, and Landon Castle, you just talked about it. The only reason he really lost the ride is because no money, right?
Yeah. And Castle is a great super speedway racer. And we just talked about Hemrick and how well he's done, and Colleague has done good in the past on super speedways, but Allmendinger's gone, Castle's gone, JJ Haley, as you called him yesterday, he's gone. And so it is a different cast of characters over there. And Kraus, I don't think he can be relied on as much. Might be a little rougher. That can lead you to more trouble. So, yeah, I'm going to stick to the Moffitt side. And Kraus is the minus 120 side. He's favored in this, whereas Moffitt's only minus 110. That doesn't make a ton of sense to me either. I get that Kraus, I guess, is in the bigger named ride, but Moffitt has been fine in this car this season. A 6 twice at Atlanta. He was running very good at Daytona. I can't remember what happened at the end. I think he just got caught up in one of the wrecks, but he was impressive before that. So, I feel very confident in the Moffitt side of this.
It's the 10 car bump. That's what it is. Speaking of the 10 car bump, that ties into my next bet, and I got the winning car as even, the winning car number as an even car number. It's kind of it's not as loaded of a field as you would think it is as far as even is concerned. This is at minus 120. It is the more juiced of it. The odd is actually, I believe, plus money, right? I lost I didn't have the right.
Yeah, I'd have to look.
Yeah, I think the odd is
going against Austin Hill. That's take some balls, Rod.
Hey, you got to hedge somehow, right? But look, the even numbers.
Odds minus 110, so they're fairly even.
They're fairly even, yeah. But look, Cole Custer is in that group in the 00, I think, right? Just
yep.
00 is even. Yeah. Okay. I'm not good at math.
I mean, it's below 0. I don't know if it still counts, but
yeah.
I think so.
Whatever. I think we're good. Cole Custer's in that group. Sheldon Creed is in that group. Josh Berry's in that group. Derek Kraus, the 10 car, like we said, has already been in victory lane, is in that group. Both Smiths, Chandler, and Sammy are in that group. John Hunter Nemechek is in that group. Kaz Growell is in that group. I'm just kidding. Kyle Sieg is in that group. And then you get down to the lower one where Riley Herbst would be the only other one, and maybe Anthony Alfredo if you really want to get, whatever with it. I know Parker Kligerman's in that group too. So again, that's a pretty good half the field to try to bet on, especially since there's a lot of folks that could very well take that. And I think both Smiths alone, Chandler Smith and Sammy Smith, we've seen speed out of both of them this season. And then, Chandler's in a Colleague car. Talked about Colleague being good on super speedways, which again lends itself to being up there. So, I mean, I like the even side of this. I know there's some heavy hitters in the odd side because it leaves you out of guys like Justin Allgaier, Brandon Jones, Ryan Truex, I suppose, if you want to put him in there. But I feel like there's more upside on the even side of this than there is on the Sam Mayer's up there as well on the odd side of that.
Yeah. Again, this is such a fun way to make sure you've got something at the end. Like, I guess in theory, as long as all the even number cars don't get wiped out, I guess, and randomly it's 14 odd number cars left, likely to happen. So this will give you something at the end with a 95% chance, I guess. I don't want to guarantee that and have somebody freak out or something, but it gives you something you're going to be able to root for. All your other bets get wiped out. Somebody's going to have an even number car at the end. You can root for them to win and still cash one of your tickets at least. So, I like having this, especially on a super speedway, having this type of bet in there because it virtually guarantees you to have a bet still alive at the end, which is sometimes hard to do with the way things can go.
Yeah. Again, that's the thing too. If you get to the end of the race and all of your outrights, all of your head-to-heads are all out, I mean, chances are one of those cars remaining is going to be an even numbered car, so you can cheer for whoever that is to come to the end of it, even if it is somebody you've never ever heard of in your life. Maybe, like I said, like maybe you find yourself rooting for the 38 car of Joe Graff Jr. by the end of it. You could be or
I enjoyed someone's tweet. I'd love to give the team credit, but somebody had tweeted Joe Graff Jr. spins, and one of the racing teams quote tweeted it and said this was a scheduled tweet.
Hey, listen, and Josh Williams in the 92 car. That's a lot of fun for you to be able to,
Hey, there you go.
And
that's a fun. Hey, you like the Josh Williams story? He's had some decent super speedway finishes before, right? Maybe he gets it done. He's got the waiver. He can get in the playoffs, even though he missed that race. There you go.
I'm just saying, there's plenty of ways to enjoy an even numbered bet that you probably didn't even think of heading into it. So, all right, we got winner bets to get to. We got to take a quick break to do that first. And want to thank each and every one of you out there watching us on YouTube. You have been a fantastic breath of fresh air for us. We were a little bit nervous about getting on YouTube, me especially. Again, I'm not the most aesthetically pleasing person in the world, as Cody rolls his eyes. Listen, man, I know where my bread is buttered, and I've been told several times before my voice is where it's at. So the fact that you guys are watching means the world to both of us, means the world to the SGPN as we try to grow our YouTube presence and try to get out to even more people and more fans and more bettors out there. So continue to help this grow, right? Do the things that you got to do. Click the bell, like, subscribe, comment on the videos. Just make sure you're doing all that. And then, of course, for the OG podcast listeners out there, writing a simple review saying, I love how Rod gives out bad bets. I would just love more than anything for you to leave good reviews out there for that, even if it's backhanded, right? I'm in the Army. I know how to have a backhanded compliment. So just continue to do that, and we will continue to grow and bring you all the fun that is the NASCAR Gambling Podcast well into the future. Maybe you can grow old with us, and we'll figure out new ways to do this together. All right.
I like it.
You like it?
I do.
Okay, good.
All right.
Because I've been liking it. I like the new ways that we've been able to make this show accessible to folks. And
I've gotten used to the YouTube thing. Took me a little while at first. Usually while Rod was talking, I was, leaning over and writing things. And I still do that a little bit, but try to be more so focused.
No, let's not get it twisted. Let's not get it twisted. This is still an audio podcast for the most part. And if you're watching the entire hour, I got to tell you, you have way more of an attention span.
Hopefully for your sake, you just play it and walk away and listen to the audio part, because at least I myself have a face that's made for radio more than TV. So
yeah, I've been told that. I mean, look, I know that I've done television and movies before.
Yeah, Rod's a movie star. If you didn't know, Rod's in multiple movies, commercials. So don't let him fool you that he's not made for camera, because he is.
Whatever. I'm the guy in the background carrying the drinks.
Hey,
that's what I usually am.
I've never been on a movie, so you got me beat there.
Got to do something somehow to earn the money, right? But
that's right. All right,
we're gonna do that with the winner picks right now.
Time to earn some money, Rod. Again, split it up, spread it out. You can take anybody you want for the most part. Maybe not Jesse Iwuji, but everybody else. I'm going to start with the Truex I allow myself to bet on. Ryan Truex, he is back in this race. Plus 1,600 over on DraftKings is the best price I've found for him. Not a ton of past stuff to look at. He's another one that's kind of been in and out, right? He's only got, again, this season, only some certain rides, but he's in that Joe Gibbs car. We know it's fast. They've had a lot of speed this season. And you go back to Atlanta, he finished third place there in his one super speedway attempt this season. You go back to last season, he had two super speedway attempts, a 12th place at Daytona, and again, a third place at Atlanta. So all three super speedway attempts in this JGR car over the last two seasons, 2/3 and a 12th. I think he could maybe just get it done, get around Austin Hill. Austin Hill has a problem, gets caught up in a wreck. Austin Hill's going to be tough. And again, we won't be surprised if he wins, but man, plus 380 is an absolutely insane number to lay on a super speedway. If you have the balls to do it and you hit it, props to you, but man, that's crazy in my opinion. So give me Ryan Truex plus 1,600 over on DraftKings. Riley Herbst, I can't leave him off the card. He is going to win this race, Rod, cash the 18-1 ticket. Then on Sunday, he's going to cash a 125-1 ticket we gave out for him in the Cup Series show. We're going to split the weekend with Riley Herbst. Never won in his career. He's going to win a Xfinity Series Cup race back-to-back. It's going to be fun. We're going to make a lot of money. Love Riley Herbst. I made the case for him at the top of the show, right? He is good on super speedways. Got the momentum behind him. Love it. Brett Moffitt, a guy I just brought up a few minutes ago, love him as well. 35-1. I think that his veteran prowess and his ability to have some solid finishes could find him in victory lane as a longer shot. And one of my favorites, always on the card at super speedways, Ryan Sieg. It has been 39 races since Ford has been in victory lane in the Xfinity Series, Rod. And guess who drives the number 39 car? It is Ryan Sieg. And, man, I've been so close to cashing on him. That second place at Talladega a couple years ago. He was so close to getting it. I was almost there. I could taste it. He's one of those guys I'm not going to miss out on having him when he gets to victory lane. I think he gets it done this weekend. 40-1. I would love to cash that ticket on Ryan Sieg. Man, he's honestly, Herbst's probably my favorite play out of all this, but Ryan Sieg is right there with it. Like, he is just an auto bet for me every time on a super speedway. And I have cashed so many top 5 tickets, so many head-to-heads on him. He always comes through on the super speedways most of the time. Always most of the time. So you're telling me there's a chance, whatever. He is very good, and I love him. 40-1, gonna take it. Oh, man, I'm ready to go win some money, Rod.
100% of the time, he's right 50% of the time.
Bingo.
So, all right. Yeah, again, this is the Super Speedway Cody that gives out, like, all the good stuff.
You get a win, and you get a win, and you get a win.
Where me, I just hunker down, and I'm going to go ahead and take John Hunter Nemechek. He is at 11-1 over there on DraftKings. Cody talked about the gigantic drop-off between Austin Hill and John Hunter Nemechek, and there's a reason that John Hunter Nemechek is second, but there's also a reason that he's at 11-1. I will say, though, that when you talk about his Xfinity finishes here on Talladega, it's not other than his he had 22nd place finish at Talladega in 2021, but he had a 7th place and a 6th place finish in 2018, 2019. He's only had 3 Xfinity starts on this track, but 2 close to top 5 finishes. So not bad there. In the Cup Series, though, in Talladega in 2020, he raced there twice, 2 8th place finishes. This is in the Cup Series, right? This is 2020 in the Cup Series, and we know he lost his Cup ride because he wasn't necessarily all that consistent. But in super speedways, what did I say? I said 2 8th place finishes at Talladega, right? In Daytona, 2 11th place finishes in the Cup Series for John Hunter Nemechek. And then, of course, earlier in the spring, he did finish 2nd place at Daytona here in the Xfinity Series in his first Daytona race in the 20 car. So I'm telling you right now, this is being slept on right now with John Hunter Nemechek at 11-1. If Austin Hill is like plus 380, I figure a guy like John Hunter Nemechek and his ability to run inside the top 10 should be closer to 500, 400, or, even 600. So to get John Hunter Nemechek at 11-1, given what he's been able to do so far, I basically think it's a steal. And then, of course, you look at what he's done at all this season, right? He won last week. He's got 2 wins on the season already, right? He's got 7 top 10 finishes in 8 start, 4 top 5 finishes, and those 2 wins. This is a good John Hunter Nemechek. This is the season we thought Cole Custer was going to have in his time back, right? We thought Cole Custer would have 2, 3, 4 wins by now, but it's John Hunter Nemechek with 2 wins and a 2nd place at Daytona and an 8th place at Atlanta and a 2nd place at Richmond, 6th place at Vegas, 6th place at Phoenix. It's John Hunter Nemechek so far this season, and he's been riding that Gibbs train hard. That Gibbs card hard, rather. And I think he's going to do it again at Talladega. I just think he could win this thing.
Great minds think alike, Rod. Full disclosure, I had typed in John Hunter Nemechek, and then I backed it up and changed it to Ryan Truex for the extra, plus 500 on it. But I do love John Hunter Nemechek as well. So I'm glad you decided to take him because I think that he is the 2nd best driver and car out there to Austin Hill on a super speedway and the best driver and car everywhere else, basically. So I like it. And then you're not going to see those odds on John Hunter Nemechek anywhere but a super speedway. So take advantage while you can get it.
Indeed. And again, I mean, back-to-back wins is tough. I get that. I know that it's not easy to do, especially in this series, but anybody can do it, I think he's going to be able to get it done. Especially, I mean, listen, you saw him last week. He just didn't know. And his burnout, I could not believe that he's staying in the car. The thing's on fire. And you said it too. I don't know if we said it on the recap show or if you just were talking to me offhand when you were like, he gave a shout out to his sponsor and his fire sponsor. And it was
they were the company that was putting out the fire. It was just great. Everything about it was wonderful.
Yeah. So I think he's in a good mood. I think he's going to be a great mood once he gets to Talladega. That's going to go a long way in his day, especially if he qualifies well and stays around the front.
I like it.
So, all right, get out your stone tablet and chisel, and we are going to give you the bets for the Ag Pro 300 from the Talladega Superspeedway. Cody started you off with Riley Herbst and his staple top 5 finish at plus 225. I said Anthony Alfredo was going to be a top 5 car at plus 500, and it's probably the last time you'll hear that out of our mouths. Cody gave you Ryan Sieg, right? Yes, Ryan Sieg is a top 5 car at plus 500, and also the winner of Group B at plus 500 has Klingerman, Kraus, Jeb, Moffitt, and Clements in that group. I said Daniel Hemrick was going to be a top 3 car this time at plus 425. Cody gave you Jeffrey Earnhardt as a top 5 car at plus 700. I gave you Jeb Burton over Parker Kligerman at minus 105. Cody gave you Parker Retzlaff over Parker Chase at minus 120. I gave you Justin Allgaier over Cole Custer in my revamped research at minus 110. Cody gave you Brett Moffitt over Derek Kraus at minus 110. I said the winning car was going to be even at minus 120. And then Cody said to take these into account as you pick a winner. Ryan Truex at 16-1, Herbst at 18-1, Moffitt at 35-1, and Sieg, Ryan type, at 40-1. And I picked John Hunter Nemechek to win at 11-1. Cody, I really wish this race would start as soon as we hit stop so we could watch this thing play out.
Same. Again, so pumped up for some super speedway racing. My favorite style. I love to watch it. It's a lot of fun. Again, take it easy, count these as losses, and be happy if you win anything. That's the motto for super speedway weeks. But we've done it plenty of times before. Hope to do it again this week.
Hope so. All right. Well, Cody, then let's go ahead and wrap it up. And in the meantime, I want to let everybody know where they can find you on social media.
Find me on Twitter at Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my work over there. And follow us on the F1 Gambling Podcast. We'll be back again this week for some DFS plays for the Cup Series and maybe a special guest episode. We're working on some stuff, so we'll see what comes out.
We will certainly see what comes out. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio, everything I got going on, whether it is here, whether it is in between media. Thursday, the Back Road kicks off again with Seth Elliott and a special guest. Again, not my week, but I'll be back again the week after to talk about the aftermath of Talladega. Hopefully, we don't get caught up in the big one. We'll see you again later this week for DFS and, of course, our special guest. So until then, let's go racing and let it ride.